start at 5:35. So I want to welcome everybody to our lounge. We have this monthly lounge with Prosperra for Women, a space that we all come to discuss important matters to us as women of color. And we're not just here to, to complain or to bond on some issues that we cannot resolve. We're here to actually co-create a space that is going to uplift us because we are all awesome as women of color. But we are also really looking at legacy that we are leaving behind. So I want to use this opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Ifeoma Ngwudike, and it's really an honor to be able to co-create this space with all of you, Prosperra for Women. Just from the name, we are professionals. We are really into prosperity and abundance of wealth, of mind, of health, and of everything beautiful, just as we are. And like I said, we are really looking at not just what we are creating today, but things that we're putting together that would also help the people that are coming after us, because we are grateful for the people that came before us. And having said that, I will also want to acknowledge that this land that we are in, Mokinskis, I feel very blessed. I'm here in Calgary. I know some of you may be joining us in different parts of Canada and the world. Wherever you're joining us from, please put it in the chat. Let's get to connect with ourselves. I really appreciate what this land provides for us. I love the Chinook that I get to enjoy because of the Rocky Mountains. I like the nature, the lakes that we also have here in Western Alberta, and very, very fortunate for the keepers of this land. And so we also, with whatever we do with Prosperra, we want to continue that legacy. Okay, today we're going to be talking about a really, really important topic that touches each and every one of us. Before this conversation, I was actually looking at some statistics, about burnout for specifically women of color. And here is what I found. Burnout among women of color in Canada and North America is very serious. They didn't just say it's serious. It's very serious and often underreported. It's, of course, shaped by systemic inequities, workspace stressors, and cultural expectations. And some of the statistics we have here is there is a general burnout trend. So this is general, includes everybody. 48% of employees across Canada and the US report experiencing burnouts, according to a 2024 survey by Boston Consulting Group. So that's 48%. That's almost half of all the bodies, human beings working in corporate America and Canada that are experiencing burnout. In Canada, 24% of workers say they feel burnt out most of the time or always. And 69 report symptoms that could lead to burnout. When it comes to women-specific insights, we have a study by the Prosperity Project that found that 77% of women in Canada have considered quitting their jobs due to work-related stress, compared to 66% of men. Women are more likely than men to feel undervalued, unsupported, and overwhelmed in the workplace, especially when aspiring to leadership roles. Now, when it comes to women of color, which is all of us here, okay, while specific national data on burnout among women of color is limited, like always, not a surprise, research consistently shows that Black and Indigenous women face higher rates of workplace discrimination, microaggressions, and emotional labor, contributing to chronic stress and burnout. Latina and South Asian women often report feeling pressure to overperform or suppress cultural identity to fit in at work. Women of color in leadership are more likely to experience isolation and lack of mentorship, which of course exacerbates burnout. Okay, don't even want to talk about the mental health and cultural barriers that we all face. And really, many women of color are primary caregivers, even when we don't talk about that in our families, adding unpaid emotional labor to our already demanding lives. Okay, so after we have read these grim statistics, which I believe is not even super correct because a lot of these things are unreported and there's literally no research when it comes to women of color, we do have things that we can do for ourselves and also to support each other. And that's why we have this conversation today. So please join me and welcome Claudine. I'm just gonna use first names if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
All right. So Claudine is a crisis response counselor. She's a clinician and she's also a licensed finance professional. She's passionate about guiding others in both healing and financial literacy.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And we have Firoza, community builder, a program facilitator, an advocate for women's empowerment. And she works at the heart of creating safe spaces for women of color. Welcome, Firoza.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
And last but not the least, we have Keyla. Keyla is a social enterprise entrepreneur, a chemical engineer. She's breaking barriers in male-dominated industries whilst uplifting women through enterprise. So, welcome, Keyla. We are all going to explore the realities of burnout, the importance of setting boundaries, and the radical act of preserving ourselves through rest. I'm really excited for this conversation and I don't want to take any more time. I just want to get going with this. So I'm just gonna open the floor to the panelists. If you can even start by sharing what some of these things means to you personally. I'm going to start with Claudine. So to start us off, what does radical self-preservation mean to you personally and professionally?
Thank you, Ifeoma. That's a great question. To me, radical self-preservation means protecting my peace at all costs, like as if my life depends on it, because it does. Personally, it means to work on my healing instead of hustle. Professionally, it means to be present for my clients and my community wholeheartedly, not in a place of emptiness or drainage. I need to be fully present to be able to help anybody that I am supposed to help, and that require me to be at peace with myself.
I really want to go to many places with what you shared. I feel like we need some stories, but I'm going to come back,
Yeah, of course.
Because we want to really understand, when you use words like, really protecting your peace at all costs, especially being a woman of color, that would be really interesting to hear some stories, how you're able to do that. So I'll come back to that.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Awesome. Firoza, I'm gonna ask you next. So as an immigrant woman of color, can you share a time when you personally experienced burnout?
Actually, I'm glad thank you for the question, Ifeoma, first of all. And I'm glad that you mentioned share stories. Actually, when I was just reading and thinking about the program, to what am I going to share, to not overshare and to make it in the time we have. But first of all, I would like to share a story of my personal life and related to question. So my whole life, although I'm I haven't lived that far, but I've been always looking up to my mother because she was always doing everything at home, taking care of family, my father. She had an organization, taking care of that. She had thousands of students, taking care of that and everything. And I was the second person who was taking steps at her steps. So at a point, I was thinking that I want to be exactly like her, do this as she was doing so much, and I was trying to do as much she is doing. But at some point, when we grow older, I looked at her and I see that how exhausted she is, how much she is mentally struggling, how much she is physically struggling, although she does not want to accept it. That's the problem. That was a wake up call for me. I realized that myself, I'm trying to be the same. I'm trying to be present at family, at work, at community, at everywhere. But when I looked at her and I saw that she knows that she's burning out. She has to say no. She has to make some boundaries. She has to, stop doing all that much. And I see that she cannot accept that, yeah, actually I'm doing so much. I have to stop. I have to take it slowly. That was a wake up call. And I realized, no, I have to take rest and I have to make boundaries and I have to rescue myself and her and people who are like me to save them from being burnout. So that was the wake up call for me that when I share it, it makes me cry when I share this stuff, especially about her. And the sad part is that she does not realize that. I was just wishing that she was not at work and she could join us here. She could listen to all that. But I will share the video with her, and I hope that it will be also a wake up call for her. So that was the thing for me, that the question you said, share time you personally experienced the burnout. And I saw when I'm doing everything, not at the same age, but I'm doing all the stuff she is doing, I realized this is the moment I have to put a stop to it.
Wow, thank you so much. There's so much in what you're unpacking, and if it's okay, I'm just gonna mention that you're in Afghanistan because I think it brings another level to when we talk about women of color and coming from different places. It just puts another level to what she's trying to talk about here. But when we talk about legacy, so Firoza has seen her mom go through things, and she exactly does not want to be like her mom. We also know how that works out in our lives, right? I don't want to be like this person, and then what do we end up being? Exactly that. But yeah, that awareness is really great. And I really admire you as a young woman of color, standing up and talking about that awareness that you have. So we're gonna explore that more. And Miss Keyla, Keyla, I know a little bit about your story, but I really want you to share with us. We know that boundaries is not a luxury, right? It does help us to make that necessary, create that necessary fence and protect our peace, I guess, and many other things. So I'm going to pass it over to you to share with us a little bit about your own story as well and how we can all learn from that.
So, well, thank you so much, Ifeoma, for inviting me to participate and collaborate in this beautiful lounge. It is an honor for me to be here, and what I want to do is I want to share my own story, right? Like I'm not a psychological expert, but I really wanted to share the story about how important setting boundaries is. And I think you are referring at my own experience with my family. So I want to share with the audience that I always had the dream about bringing my family to Canada. It was a dream come true back in 2024, since my dad passed away when I was 17 years old, and I promised him that I was going to take care of my family, that especially my brother, my sister, who was a year and a half old when my dad passed away. and also take care of my mom. So in 2023, the government of Canada opened a new federal program allowing citizens like me to sponsor family members that were living under substandard living conditions. And we didn't think twice. We applied for them, and we were lucky enough that all our applications were accepted. So me and my spouse, we brought to Canada 11 family members. So 3 families. So my brother, his wife, and 3 kids, my brother-in-law, his wife, and 2 kids, and my sister-in-law and his kid. So we knew that we were embarking in a very challenging journey, but we didn't understand how challenging it was till we have all of them in our house. And we were pulled from very different directions. So each family group, as a family group, they had specific needs, but also every individual have different needs. My nieces and nephews, they all have different needs too. So this was very overwhelming. So what we did is we seek out help because we realized we couldn't do it alone. And one thing that took us through the journey was being able to set boundaries, was able to see we love each and every one of you. We are extremely happy that you are here. You are welcome here. For 3 months, we have 13 people living in our house. I have my brother-in-law with his family living in our family room, in our bonus room, 5 people living in the family room. So I have my brother and his family living in the basement, and I have my sister-in-law living in a guest room. So we make sure they knew how loved they are. But the work that we did with our counselor was to be able to set those boundaries without hurting their feelings. Because imagine this, people coming to Canada without having the language. You have to be able to help them, like get phone lines, schools for the kids, a drive license, all of that. And on top of that, you have to cope with your day-to-day work, with the business, with your life. So I'm gonna make it short, but the key here was to be able to set the boundaries with respect, get them on board, and always coming from a place of love. So I'm gonna leave it here, and we can, explore further for sure, Ifeoma.
That was such a real.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it. I really want to help. I want to be able to empower each and every one of you, because we are beautiful people. But sometimes we forget about ourselves, right? Because we are givers by nature. We need to remember about ourselves and take care of ourselves while we help the people that we love.
That's good.
That is a mic drop, because not only are you being vulnerable, yeah, I know that it can really be intense. In my language, there is a saying. I'm going to try my best to translate it. It said "Injalita kama." So sometimes it's just good to be families from a distance. That way we don't have problems. So I can imagine all in your house, right? Yeah. So that is really, really amazing. And the story you shared, I think the power in it is recognizing that you need help, but also being humble enough to do it out of love. Because sometimes tough love can be a challenge. And I think that's why some of us struggle with boundaries, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. I agree 100%, Ifeoma.
Okay, so we're going to continue to dive deeper, but I just want us to even go back a little bit and maybe explore, why do we even have these challenges in the first place? Because maybe from talking about the challenges that we have, why we have created this place where we are constantly burnt out. Last time we talked about imposter syndrome. Could it be because of some of those things that we feel like we need to earn our place and do more and more and more for everybody but ourselves? So, Claudine, I'm going to go back to you. You really were fiercely talking about protecting your peace, right? So maybe if you can share with us, from your perspective, and feel free to use like stories, things, whatever from your experience actually as a counselor, right? What are some of those pressures that contribute to the burnout? Because maybe when we start to name them, we can actually solve these problems.
Right. Thank you, Ifeoma. That's a great question. So, as a woman of color, as an immigrant, when we come here, we faces a lot of challenges that most of the time we are not prepared for when we get here. So, adding to the pressure or the responsibilities we already have as our families, responsibility of raising our children, and then get into the culture that is somewhat different from where we come from, it takes tolls on us, and how we deal with it might be different from one another, depending on each one's situations and what we are going through at that time and place. But commonly, all of us, we face pretty much the same challenges, but the way we deal with them might be different. And the way we come out of those situations might be different depending on numerous things. It might be because of the culture we come from. Most of the cultures, people don't talk about challenges. They don't talk about things they go through. And when you're dealing with that internally by yourself and you have nobody to talk about, or if you try to speak about it, nobody understands where you're coming from, that creates a burden and a challenge in itself, where people just stay silent and suffer alone and not talk about what they're going through. So being able to cultivate that change in ourselves and be able to connect with other people around us and make sure that we make it easier on ourselves and the people around us, that might help us to face those challenges and talk about them, because it's real being to be tired, because we face a lot of responsibilities, not only by just trying to figure out how we live in this culture where things are different and where responsibilities might differ, but also because we don't talk about this stuff. And talking about it, that's one way to deal with those challenges for ourselves.
Thank you so much for highlighting that, I just hear you say we should just speak out, because then when we speak out, we're already naming that, we're already taking control of what it is. And it's one of the pillars, right, of Prosperra. We talk about voice, it's the power of women to speak up, to share their stories and influence change, right?
Exactly, because we come here with the pressure of not only succeeding for ourselves, but also for our families back home and our children's here, and that bring a toll and a pressure on us. And then in the society we are living in also, we are expected, there is this silent expectation of performing higher than the rest of the peers. There is that silent expectation of presenting ourselves in workplaces, for example, because we're underrepresented. And we need to perform higher than the rest of the peers to be able to be accepted, if I may say. So yeah, challenges are there, and the way to deal with them is just creating spaces like this and talk about it and help people to actually have a safe space where they can come and talk and see that they are not alone. Each one of us has the situations we go through, but we might not know if we keep silent.
Absolutely, absolutely. That giving voice to something, nobody can and should take our voices away. But when we have that collective voice, it does cause ripple effects. So that's a great takeaway in terms of understanding the challenge. Like, let's not keep our mouth shut, people. Let's just be able to share our own experiences, but also empathize and connect with people when they are sharing those experiences. Firoza, the next one is for you. Many of us, and I think Claudine had kind of touched a little bit about this, but when we come from cultures where saying no feels selfish, like you've given us the story about your mom, how have cultural expectations around family and community shaped your relationship with boundaries?
That is such a real question. So I'm talking from myself, and I can see that most of us are coming from almost very much the similar culture. And in our cultures, we especially women are expected to be very much available and very much, saying no almost feels a betrayal if a woman say no to something, to a responsibility, to us, something that she does not want to do, or she cannot do it. If she says no, it's like a betrayal. But when I came to Canada, the burnout started to be even more, For me, the first 6 months or 1 year, it was most challenging. I'm sure for everybody is. One of the challenging part was keeping up the communication, keeping up, answering back to the families back home. I newly got married. Now I had two families there and there. And they have got expectations. They have got to talk to you every day. I don't know, some other expectations that I want to bring it in this here, but I really like to highlight it somewhere because and I'm very sure every one of us here has experienced that part of it. People, I know it's not their fault. It's just um they don't know what is happening here. Even me, when I was there, I didn't know how my husband manages stuff here. But when I came here and I saw the demands, and I saw that I really can't, even if I have less sleep, have less work, I can't really keep up to the communications. I can't really keep up to all the demands and all the stuff. So I tried to make boundaries and keep up in a respectful way, and make that realization. I'm still struggling with that. Just to realize myself that saying no or putting boundaries is not a bad thing. Especially it is a good thing because you're coming healthier. You're coming with more energy. Rest gives you more energy and more. You have you can come healthier to your family, to your loved one, and be the best version of yourself. So that was the time I just realized, yeah, from the culture I'm coming, maybe at a point I could keep up, but not all the time. So the boundaries are good. So we have a red circle around us. So everybody know that this is the red circle. You cannot pass this one. Keep. So I think, yeah, everybody can relate to cultural part of it, and it's great if we realize. And I think it's not making boundaries would not be that hard. The hard part is realization. I say why I say that because I see people around me, even myself, they don't realize that they are struggling, and then they don't realize that they have to make boundaries. Once they actually realize this is the problem, they making the boundaries would be easier. So that's all on my end. Thank you for
Wow, thanks, Firoza. My takeaway, the red circle.
Yeah.
No entry. This is my zone.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. That is powerful. That's but Richard, I see your hand up. You can unmute. You oh, okay, you put it down. I should keep going. You're
Okay.
muted. Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, ladies. Firoza, beautiful point about that red circle. I think what we are talking about right now is boundaries, and the way you've put that red circle like a red flag, it's something that should go around us because we are all programmed coming from the families that we are, and the women of color are coming from different cultures, and in all our cultures, we are programmed not to have boundaries, to think before others, before ourselves.
Yeah.
But we forget that if there is no water in our own glasses, how will we pour it to anybody else? So I think that the red circle thing that you talked about, also from your experience, if you can just share, how did you manage to, and you seem like a very wise person coming from the legacy of a very, your mother's journey is an exemplary space. Please also, shed a light on the fact that you said a very beautiful point that I did not want to be like my mother. So
Mhm.
what was it in that space that you realized that, and when did you realize that your mother was actually, she was going through a burnout, and that is when you realized that, that is the battle that you want to fight within yourself?
So 5 years ago, my mom, when the government changed, my mom had to go. If I give you the story, you will realize why. I adore my mom. I look up to her, and I do it now as well. And she is the best person of my life. And still, I do look up to her. But 5 years ago, when my mom left for Italy, she had to leave the country because of the security problems that they were there. When she left the family, but I saw she had 1.5 years of mental breakdown. And the doctors were telling her, because she was a fitness coach, her body was fit, she had no illness. All the doctors, she looked up for the doctors in Pakistan and Italy and Europe, everywhere, and the doctors were telling her all this problems that are happening to you. She was struggling physically, mentally, emotionally, everything, but she was still wanted to work, wanted to support family, wanted to support friends, wanted to support students. All the doctors were telling her that because of all the stress and all the pressure, you're experiencing that. And all the doctors were telling her that your body is all fit, no problem is in there. So we would say that your arm is broken, we would fix your arm. It's not something like that. It's something that you should work on it and you should be aware of. And in that 1.5 year, not only her, but her loved ones, us, everybody was like concerned about her because of all the pressure she took upon herself, and on all the responsibilities that she was having, and she was not letting them go, and she was taking care of everything, and stress, and she never spoke up, she never tried to speak up, she never talked about, like we are talking about our problems, we are talking about the stuff that are happening. She never talked that this is something that is bothering, this is something that is hard on me, never. So that was the call for me, and I always tell her, I love you, I want to be like you, but not specifically in that part. I want to have boundaries. I don't want to end up like with all the stress
Burnout.
and makes me so emotional.
Burnout.
Yeah, to be burned out. And yeah, I have to start from now. When I'm from the past 2-3 years, now when I look back at 3 years ago at myself, I see that I was really exhausted, but now I can see the improvements. And I really want, if all the women who are around me, I share this with my friends, and I'm so happy for this session. I share with my friends, with my sisters, especially with everybody, to have the realization and make space for yourself. Thank you for the question.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
lovely. Thank you. Thank you for the answer. And, it was such an honest answer. That's exactly why this space is so important because it's such a safe space. You can, the real question can come out, and the way you answered it actually came out, poured out from the heart of what, as a daughter, you felt for your mother. And I think that's what makes the space more meaningful. Thank you, Firoza.
Absolutely. And it's just a powerful story, you witnessing that for your mom, knowing she's coming from a good place, like we all do. But then here she is going through something that she can't really explain and was struggling with trying to dissociate herself from as well. I always say that we don't have badges for doing all these things. Like nobody's gonna give you a plaque for trying to definitely harm yourself, right? So that's such a powerful story. Yudi, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just want to add to what Firoza said. We all come from different cultures, and most of our culture, the women are expected to carry the burden of the world. And being that the women who are also our mothers are usually our first what's the word to use? I don't want to say first impression, but the first people we are expected to look up to. We'll find ourselves trying to imitate the kind of lives that they live to in the different perspectives of our lives that we end up in. And we tend to repeat the same pattern that they did, carrying everybody's burden. I think it starts with now that we're in a different world, that we have the opportunity to be different compared to where we are coming from. We have to consciously desensitize and reorientate ourselves, build those barriers, even with our immediate families, know when to take time out. No, because you have to be mentally stable yourself to be able to be fit enough to care for your family. And whether we like it or not, yes, we're trying to do good by carrying the burden of the family, but we're also hurting the family when we are not in the right mental space, when we haven't created boundaries, when we're walking around with whatever happens at work, we magnet it. What happens in a family, we magnet it. It's not just hurting us physically, it's hurting us psychologically, it's hurting us in our health. And eventually we're no more the right people to now care for the family we are we tell ourselves that we are carrying these burdens for. So we have to make conscious efforts to first reorientate ourselves that there's no badge of honor for suffering, really. And then secondly, we need to remind ourselves that we have to be in the right mental space to be able to be our best, to care for this family that we so love. Because, I mean, we all came here for our family. In one way or the other, we all came here to have a better life for the family back home, for the family we are creating here, for our family in general. But we cannot do that if we're not in the mental right space, if we don't have the mental capacity. And that starts with taking care of ourselves.
Very true.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, with what you're saying, UD, it is very important. It is very challenging as well for us as women because we are nurturers. So we have this tendency not to think too much about ourselves. If anybody has read my book, they'll see how I lost my identity just because of this very conversation that we are having. But I also think that this is actually a nice segue, to now that we've kind of explored some of these challenges. Keyla, I want to come back to you because your challenge is very recent and very real, right? So we want to slowly transition now to how can we have some practical solutions? I know some of them have already been shared in terms of what we should definitely be doing, whether it's the red circle, whether it's just making sure we are saying no, we're looking for help, talking to counselors. But I think we all know that already in our heads, but why are we not doing that? So from your experience, what are some really practical solutions and strategies that we can walk away with today to support ourselves, to support our children, because we can see that this thing lives on, whether we like it
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah, thank you, Ifeoma. So from my experience, we've done a lot of things to help us out. So in a very practical way. Number one was I want to take one step back and go back to the red circle. Now I have a mental image in my mind, and this
Right.
is a very so it's a great way to exemplify what we want to do, right? So number one is being honest with our expectations, right? So after we look for help, we were able to create a list of what do we expect from the family that we brought to Canada, and what can we give them? What can they expect from us? So it's create clear expectations about what can they expect from us and what are we expecting from them. That was number one. And also I want to touch base on what Judith was saying, which is great. We need to learn to advocate for ourselves. If we are unable to speak up our mind and to say what is it that we need, people can read our minds. So it's very difficult for them to know what is it that we are expecting. So we need to learn to advocate for ourselves in a very assertive way. So you can use a clear example. Say, hey, I'm tired. I just came from work. I need 10 minutes to recharge. This is my space. So people tend to break those boundaries, right? And they don't do it in a bad way. It's just that they have needs that need to be met. So be strong on those boundaries. If you say that you need 15 minutes to rest, create that space for you so you can rest those 15 minutes and you feel then recharged. Because it is like when we are in a plane, the pilot says in the event of an emergency, you have to put the mask first so you can help others. So it's the same in this setting. So you have to know what you need, what you want, and what you expect. You need to be able to advocate for those needs, and you need to be able to communicate those needs in a very clear way. Now, expect pushback. So people is going to try to push back because, in our case, they all have needs and they didn't speak the language. But we need to stay calm, stay your ground, and say, yeah, I know that you have these needs. So validate them, validate the people's needs. I know you have these needs. I know you need help, but right now I'm tired. I need to rest. So once I'm recovered, I'm gonna go out and help you. So it's like a find that balance, right? And acknowledge the people that is surrounding you. They also want to help. So I think the way to say it is always think positive of the people that is surrounding you or expecting something for you. Try always to look for a positive perspective, because sometimes we tend to think, oh, but I have to do this, or these people is needing this. No. Just look at them from the heart, from your heart. Validate their needs, but also validate yours. State your ground, make space for you, and then when you are ready, go out and help these people. But also, you have to communicate. That's a two-way thing. If we give, and we are only givers, we get burnout. So you have to expect something from them, even if what you are expecting is just commitment from them to just respecting your boundaries, right?
So true. Wow. So don't you guys love it when we get engineers to talk? Like, look at the articulation. Like, I have a list now. I could not have articulated it this way. Oh my God. And I did write it down. So I hope you guys took notes. Okay.
Yes.
Expectations, your expectations and their expectations, right?
Yeah.
And clarity. So just be clear, because you cannot have those expectations without clarity. Then advocate for yourself, speak out and speak up, communicate how you know what you need as well. But do everything from the heart. So we've
Yes.
got the red circle, we've got the heart, we've got the voice, like Claudine said. And I just love these words. I need to rest. Like, how many times do we say I? Like, I don't know about you guys, but me, I got used to we. It's in my book. When my mom asked, Ifeoma, how are you? We are fine. And she's like, who are we? How many are you? Right? And so I really love that Keyla was using those words. I need to rest. And once I am recovered, I'm going to help you. That, like, okay. I'm like, if I take anything else, I should just remember the red circle, voice it out, use my heart, and yeah. Okay, Keyla, you have more to say, please.
Yeah, I just want to share with I just want to share with the audience that some other things that we did to help out with the transition, right? Look, so soon after we apply, I mean, at the time, we didn't think through the process. So the program came out. My immigrant lawyer reached out to me and he said, hey, Keyla, this program is there. Do you want to apply for your siblings? So we say, yes, we are bringing our siblings in. And we submit the application within 7 days. And there were only 11,000 spots. No 11,000 families, 11,000 spots. And those will fill up quickly. So the day after we submit the application, something synced. Like we realized, oh my God, we're bringing 11 people from different ages, from different situations. So that's the moment where we look for help. And we start having meetings with our families before they arrive to Canada. And we didn't do it alone. We seek for help. So we hire a specialist in family relationship. And before they even arrive to Canada, we have meeting with them via Zoom, laying out those expectations. When they arrive, we ask them to arrive within a month from each other. And we were having meetings with them individually as family groups, right? And that helped a lot. It has been a process. We are not perfect, but we are working on our imperfections from the heart, from love. Because I brought my in-laws, we brought my siblings, and they've never lived together. So my family is from a different city than my in-laws. So they haven't had the opportunity to live together. So the first time was here in my house for the very first time. So we saw the friction, right? Like, and they also start competing from attention. So my relative wanted me to spend more time with them than with my in-laws, right? And then my wife in-laws wanted her to spend more time with them than with my family. So that created a lot of friction. And the friction actually started affecting our relationship. So the burnout was taken to another level.
Oh my God.
And then, no, we realized, okay, no, this is a stop. And then we went back for help and we get more help, more guidelines. And one of the biggest learning from this process is to be humble, resilient, and vulnerable. If we realized that we couldn't convey our way, even though this is our house, we need to validate everybody's feelings. But also, they have to validate us. And it was our responsibility to set the boundaries. So it has been a journey, and we are still working on that. And my final thought is that when you identify there is a problem, if you don't have the answer, look for help. There is people willing to help you out, and go through the process, knowing that you are supported. And I'm going to get back to Ifeoma and say thank you for creating spaces like this, because sometimes we don't know where to go. Having a space like this make us stronger, because we know that if we don't have the answer, there is another woman waiting to help and provide feedback and provide help. So thank you.
Wow. Wow. Keyla, thank you so much. My brain definitely does not work that way. It's pretty logical, but it's not on that level. I could not have pre-planned this the way you pre-planned it, to have those 11 special humans in your house. People, I know it's almost 6:30, at least in Calgary, but I'm thinking we do need a part 2 of this conversation. We did not even go anywhere with all the stories that we're having. Do you guys agree with me? Please show, with whatever you need to use, the reaction, your hands. I think we need a part 2 of this, because
Yes,
we
please.
didn't even, right? We didn't even talk about rest.
Nothing.
We didn't even get there at all. And I'm so still wanting to hear from Claudine. I want to hear more about these stories. I want to hear from all of you as well, because that's what we do here in Prosperra for Women. We have the panelists that are bringing out these things and being vulnerable, but we also know that there is so much wealth of experience, of heart, of life within the space, and we want to hear from everybody. And I don't know how I can hold the clock the clock back, but I think I'm just gonna let Claudine, as a counselor, maybe you can, I don't know, share something with us that would help us to really have some small practices that we can do, to help us remind us that we need to have that red circle around us, but also do whatever we're doing with heart.
Yeah, thank you, Ifeoma. Just my first recommendation I would give to anybody that I care about is just listen to yourself. Listen what your body is telling you, and take actions. Create those rituals that you can use for yourself, just to make yourself feel grounded. Journal if you have to. Find that best friend of one of your best friends that you can talk to. Somebody you can trust to talk to, because not everybody has that capacity actually to listen and give you the advice that you need. Take that morning walk, 20 minutes if you have that time and space, even if it's 10 minutes. Just create that single space for yourself, just for yourself, where you can spend that time with yourself to connect back with yourself, with your thought and your feelings, and evaluate yourself on every single day where you are at with yourself. Then once you created that ritual for yourself, you are able to come back fully refreshed to be able to help people who depends on you. Because you can't help anybody if you are not, if your cup is not filled. You need to fill your cup first before you can help anybody else who depends on you. And that require you to listen to yourself, to listen to your body when it says that you're tired. Listen and take that rest. Look at your boundaries. You don't have to set crazy boundaries. No is a complete sentence. Use that no when you have to, just to make sure that you're taking care of yourself first. Just small steps every day. That's all you need to make a difference in your life and your loved ones.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I know that it's already 6:30. If anybody has to go, feel free to go. But I just want to also share before we ask the panelists for any other few words, and if anybody has questions. So I am now a certified trauma-informed empowerment coach. And for anybody that is here today or has attended the Prosperra Women's Lounge, they do get an offer to have sessions with me. Firoza has already shared a lot of stories, and we all know, and sometimes we don't know, that a whole bunch of the things we're doing is because of our epigenetics and intergenerational trauma, even from my great-great-grandmother, right? And so having those that safe space to talk about those things, but also to come out of that, knowing how to leverage that that power that we have, that story that we have to now proceed and navigate spaces that sometimes are not meant for us and continue to harm us. We also have Richa as well, who is also offering free sessions as well for people when it comes to that spiritual space, because we are all spiritual beings. We have Claudine, who is deep into counseling and therapy. We know Patience, she's not here today, but we do have a lot of resources to support us within this group. I know Lem is also a coach. You know, we all do multiple things, so let's always reach out. Like Keyla said, let's not suffer in silence. Use your voice, but also learn how to empower yourself. If anybody is interested in even knowing what trauma-informed empowerment coaching is all about, please reach out to me and I will tell you more about it. Now, I'm gonna maybe for those of you that are still here, if anybody has any burning questions or comments and they're not on the panel, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask. If not, I'm going to ask the panelists for their closing reflections. Okay.
I can take it. I can take the spot. I want to say something, right? Like the also help us through this transition, because it was a life-changing transition, like for being two individual person living alone to now surrounded by a lot of people, is have the purpose in mind, or your ultimate goal to help carry that burden. Why am I doing this? What's my goal? If it is for work, then do I need to put food on the table? Do I need to dress my kids? You name it, right? So always have that purpose in mind. Why are you doing this? What is the goal? What is it that you want to achieve? When we have that purpose in mind, sometimes what we thought was a burden, it is no longer a burden, right? But we need to know, why are we doing the things that we're doing? If we don't find a purpose anymore in what we're doing, it might be just time to change what we're doing and do something different where we find more meaning, right? So that help us go through this transition, like knowing why are we doing this, why we did this, what we want to achieve. And just to close, I want to say this. The best gift that I got for Christmas was a letter from one of my nieces that we brought to Canada. They were living 5 people in 1-bedroom apartment in Colombia. My brother-in-law sometimes couldn't even afford food for the whole family. He lost 20 kilos or 40 pounds. So her middle daughter, for Christmas, she gave me a letter. And she said, "Thank you, Auntie, for bringing us to Canada. We now know we have a better future because we are here." So that was enough, like more than enough. And what before that was looking more like a burden, it didn't, after reading that letter, look like a burden anymore. Because she reminded us, why are we doing this? Why we did it? And that was the best Christmas ever, knowing that we had the ability to change people's life. So just be grateful for having the opportunity to do something meaningful for somebody else.
So that's a deep thing that your niece did for you. Keyla, definitely we're having a part 2, and you're gonna be writing a book or a podcast, something. It has to be. There's so much to unpack in the story.
Yeah.
One of you, Claudine, Firoza, any closing remarks?
Yeah, one thing I would say is that we don't have to beat ourselves when we feel tired or when we feel exhausted. It's not something we should beat ourselves up to. We are not weak when we are tired. It's your body telling you that you need to get some rest, and it's your birthright to get that rest. So don't beat yourself up. Just listen to your body and do what it's asking you to do. Get your rest, because we deserve to thrive, not survive. And in that surviving, that's where we have a lot of responsibilities that makes us feel exhausted. So we should not beat ourselves. If you feel you're tired, it means that you're a human being. Yeah,
Wow.
that's pretty much it.
Wow.
And my final sentences would be that to every woman listening who is exhausted and feels burned out, I want to say you're not alone. We are all the same, and we are here to make the community that would help us, each one of us, to grow and to feel safer. And at the end, thank you so much, Ifeoma, Keyla, Claudine, Rita, everyone who joined us. It was such a lovely session, and I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ifeoma.
Wow.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Yeah, this has been definitely an incredible conversation. I am voting for a part 2 because there's still a lot to unpack here, and Richard still wants to say something.
As always. I think the three of their journeys and the way the Claudine and Keyla and Rosa have brought out these points, I think the part 2 will bring out a lot many more meaningful discussions. And the three statements that I'm taking, with me is Firoza's actually put that thing around me, the red circle, and it's going to go a long way, trust me. And the way Kayla's put the thought of how every action has to be so purpose oriented. Everything that we do has to have that right purpose behind it, the number 2. So if there is a red circle and there is a purpose, I have to cross that red circle for and go beyond that spot to which Claudine brings the points that I have to take care of myself outside the red circle also. And if somebody's entering inside also, I think the string needs to be put on to a bigger, more people need to hold this and talk about this so that we have this beautiful circle of red circle complete, and we do understand that we all want to give and do our very best, but at the same point of time protect our own very beings also. Thank you.
Wow, thank you for that great summary. So I would love to really say thank you so much for everyone that is here tonight that showed up. I know some of us went to work, some of us are still working, but we took the break to really share from the heart. There's so much that have been said today. I learned so much, just even getting to know the ladies that spoke today even deeper. Like, where else can we learn these things? Where else can we begin to know each other and know that we're not alone? So I'm really deeply thankful for Claudine, Firoza, and Keyla for being honest, for your wisdom, for sharing your experience, and really reminding us that we're not alone in this journey. And to all of you that joined us, there's something that Claudine said. She says, you are not weak when you are tired. You just need rest. And it's not selfish. Boundaries are not rejection, and self-preservation is definitely not weakness. So let's all always act in strength, survival, but, just like Kayla said, in love. Put that heart that circle, let there be a heart in it as well, right? And women of color, we deserve to be in spaces where we can thrive, not just survive. So I want to ask all of you to please continue to spread the word. Get more people to hear the stories, get more people to be a part of Prosperra for Women so that we can continue to create ripple impact, you know, where our future is healthier, it's freer, and it's filled with more and more abundance, because there's just more than enough for everybody. But, you know, as women of color, we are often working like there's not enough, but we know that there is enough. I really thank everyone for listening and for choosing to invest in yourself, for being here. If your workplace is asking you for professional development, you have got one today, and that is really great. There's no price to it. So let's carry these lessons forward into our homes, our workplaces, in our communities. Let's remember that we can always get help. We are all bodies of trauma, and there is no shame in that, but we can always know how to leverage all of these traumatic experiences that we may not even have known about, to be able to be better people. So we're gonna have another session next month. Please keep coming back, keep spreading the word. We want to fill this room with women of color so that whenever we step out there, like right now that I've heard the stories, I cannot unhear them. I just keep seeing them, and I see that in all those women of color, all the women out there. So let's all invite them to the space. Let's spread the word, and keep healing together. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Love each and every one of you. Be good and take moments of rest every
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
All
Thank
right.
you.
And we will
Thank
have a
you.
resource as always, right, from this session as well.
Thank you so much. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank
Love
you.
Bye, good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good session.
Wow, Keyla, Firoza, Claudine, that was amazing. Hey, Lemlem, which part of the world are you in? Colombia?
I'm joining you from Hawaii. I'm in vacation. So it is
You.
just 2:43 here. It was a
Oh,
wonderful session. I was traveling, I couldn't turn it. But yeah,
yeah.
thank you so much on the panel. That was inspiring. Really
No,
appreciate it. Glad to be here.
thank you so much. Thank you for making it. Yeah.